The Fujifilm X30 is a follower of the legendary X10 and X20. There are some new points at the camera, but there are still some points which are equal to the X20. And that's what I want to start with, because some of you hope that we get a little bit bigger sensor and a little bit more focal length, but no, it's still the same 12 megapixel sensor in the small size, and the zoom lens still goes from 28 to 112 millimeter. It's exactly the same lens which works in the X20. So no bigger sensor and exactly the same lens. But there are some new points at the X20, and the first point I want to start with the viewfinder. You know that the X20 has the optical viewfinder, and the X30 now has an electronical viewfinder, high resolution electronical viewfinder, more than 2 million pixel. At a real crisp, sharp and clear picture. I like the viewfinder very much, and it's a real good thing, because if the sun is out and it's bright light, you won't see enough on the screen on the backside. So it's very good to have the electronic viewfinder without parallax, and a real good thing, you can set up the menus also in the electronic viewfinder, which you couldn't at the optical viewfinder of the X20. Next point which is new, that's the control monitor. You see the control monitor seems to be a little bit bigger than the one of the X20, but no, it's not bigger, but it's a turnable monitor. So you can turn up the monitor up to 90 degree and down to 45 degree. And no, it's not a touch screen if you hoped so. No, it's a normal monitor. You can turn it only, but it's not a touchscreen. When we go to the front of the camera, at the X20 we have the off button, the off dial, and when we turn the camera to the 28 millimeter focal length, we start the camera and you have the mechanical zoom ring, which goes up to 112 millimeter. And if you look carefully, you will see there's a second ring here at the lens. And yes, you can make some settings here, and that's important, because you may see that at the back side of the camera here on the left side of the control monitor are no buttons anymore. At the X20 we had here 4 buttons, now they are gone, and some of the functions of the buttons are directly at the camera, but some are at the dial on the front side. How this works, we have a additional button here on the front side of the camera, and when I press the button, you have different options to set up the control ring on the front side of the camera. So if I go to the ISO setting and press OK, now when I turn the dial at the front ring, you see I can change the ISO setting from ISO 100 up to ISO 12800, and you also can change the setting to the film simulations. So if you turn the front dial, we have the different film simulations here, and I can show you also a new thing here at the X30. You know the ProVia setting, you know the Velvia and the Astia, and this one is the new one, Classic Chrome. That's the new film simulation we have. And then it's going up to the Pro NEC and the monochrome settings with the 3 different filters, and last but not least the Sepia. So the Classic Chrome is the new one we have. On the top of the camera we have the program dial, and here we have the setting PASM, that's the usual ones. Then we have the Panorama function. Yes, this one is now directly on the dial here, and we have SP1 and SP2, that's the scene programs, and we can set up 2 different scene programs to get them direct here on the dial. So if we look on the back side of the camera, when I turn the dial, you see SP2 is portrait and SP1 is landscape. So you can individualize this if you don't want the portrait or the landscape here, just press the button and make the change. You can also go to sport, and so you have on the SP1 portrait, or on the SP1 the sport. Sorry, 2 is portrait and 1 is sport. Next one is the advanced filters, advanced settings. Then we have the different filters. We have the different filters like toy camera, miniature, and so on and so on. These are the same like in the X20. Then we have the automatic setting and the advanced automatic in SR+. At the right side we have the exposure correction dial, start button for the video function. The menu is exactly the same like in the X20. We have the same settings here like in the X20. There are no different points or only minor differences between the X20 to the X30. And we still have the wireless communication, so we have the option to send the pictures to, per wireless LAN to computer or smartphone. One new point at the X30, that's the video function. So therefore we go to the video menu, which is, where is the video menu? Here is the movie setup. And when we go to the movie setup, you will see that we have higher frame rates now. At the X20, the highest frame rate was 30 frames per second, and now we have 50 and 60 frames per second with a data rate of 36 megabits per second, so also a little bit higher data rate than usually in the XA VCS, so we have a little bit better setting here. One point I should mention, we have the quick menu, and in the quick menu we don't have only the base, but we have the different C1 to C7 settings, which are now not anymore on the top dial here of the X30. So this is the Fujifilm X30, 12 megapixel sensor, 28 to 112 millimeter focal length, electronic viewfinder, turnable screen, and the new video function up to 50 and 60p.